Hello and welcome. Tonight, we're going on a journey back in time, deep into Earth's ancient oceans, to meet creatures that once ruled the seas. But these aren't the sea monsters of nightmares or horror stories. Tonight, we're discovering the peaceful side of these ancient giants, the gentle rhythms of their lives, the slow, patient existence they lived for millions of years. Before we begin, let's take a moment to settle in. Find a comfortable position. Let your body sink into your bed, the way ancient creatures once sank to the ocean floor to rest. Now, take a deep breath in through your nose, as if you're breathing the pure oxygen-rich air of prehistoric Earth, and let it out slowly through your mouth, releasing it like bubbles rising through ancient waters. Again, breathe in deeply, filling your lungs completely, and release, feeling your shoulders drop, your jaw relax, your whole body softening like a jellyfish drifting in a warm current. One more time, breathe in, and let everything go, sinking deeper into comfort, deeper into peace. Perfect. You don't need to do anything but listen. You can close your eyes or keep them gently open, like looking through the blue-green waters of a Paleozoic sea. There's nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to understand. Just rest, just float. Let's begin our journey through the peaceful world of ancient sea monsters. We'll start our journey 444 million years ago in the Ordovician period, when the first great sea creatures appeared. The oceans were warm and shallow, covering most of the planet. There were no plants on land yet, no animals walking on solid ground. Everything lived in the sea. And in these ancient waters lived a creature called the sea scorpion, or Eurypterid. Now the name might sound frightening, but let's think about these creatures differently tonight. The Eurypterid wasn't a monster hunting relentlessly. It was a patient creature, adapted perfectly to its world, living a slow, methodical life in the warm, shallow seas. The largest species, Helicoprion, grew to about 8 feet long. Imagine a creature the length of a tall human, with a flattened body and a long, segmented tail. Its body was covered in plates of chitin, natural armor that protected it, that made it feel safe, secure, invulnerable. The Eurypterid spent much of its time resting on the sandy bottom of shallow bays and estuaries. It would settle into the soft sediment, its flat body creating a perfect impression in the sand, and it would simply wait, not in anxiety or tension, but in perfect, patient stillness. This was a creature that understood the power of waiting, of being still, of conserving energy. It didn't need to constantly hunt or constantly move. It could simply be, simply exist, simply rest in the warm water and wait for food to come to it. The water where the Eurypterid lived was probably quite murky, full of sediment and organic matter. Visibility would have been low, but the Eurypterid didn't need to see clearly. It had other senses, chemical sensors that could detect prey in the cloudy water, touch receptors on its legs, and pincers that could feel vibrations and movements. It navigated its world not through vision, but through feeling, through direct contact, through intimate knowledge of its environment. There's something deeply calming about this idea. Moving through the world by feeling, rather than seeing, by sensing, rather than analyzing, by knowing through direct experience, rather than through observation and thought. As you drift towards sleep, you're moving more into this mode of being, less visual processing as your eyes close or lose focus, More sensation, more feeling, more direct experience of your body and breath, and the simple presence of being alive. The Eurypterid would molt periodically, shedding its old shell and growing a larger one. In the hours after molting, while its new shell hardened, it was vulnerable, soft, exposed. During this time, it would hide in rocky crevices or bury itself in sand, waiting patiently for its armor to harden again. This is a kind of enforced rest, a time when the creature had no choice but to be still, to be patient, to trust that its body knew what to do, that the hardening process would complete in its own time. You're in your own kind of molting period right now, shedding the day's experiences, the day's identity, the day's armor. And like the Eurypterid, you need to be patient with this process, to trust that it will happen in its own time, that you don't need to force it or rush it or manage it. Just be still, just wait. Just allow your body to do what it knows how to do. The Eurypterid lived for millions of years, from the Ordovician through the Permian period, a span of over 200 million years. That's longer than dinosaurs ruled the earth. That's an incomprehensible length of time. And through all of it, the Eurypterid remained essentially unchanged. It had found its perfect form, its perfect way of being, and it simply continued, generation after generation, in the same peaceful pattern. There's wisdom in this kind of constancy, this kind of commitment to a way of being that works, that feels right, that doesn't need to be constantly improved or changed or optimized. Your body knows this wisdom too. The basic patterns of rest and activity, sleeping and waking, these haven't changed in millions of years. Your ancestors, hundreds of generations back, slept just as you're about to sleep now. They breathed the same way, relaxed the same way, drifted into unconsciousness the same way. You're following an ancient pattern, older than civilization, older than language, older than humanity itself. The pattern of rest, the pattern of peace, the pattern of surrender to sleep. The Eurypterid's world was quiet. Sound doesn't travel the same way underwater as it does in air, and in the Ordovician oceans there were no whales singing, no dolphins clicking, none of the acoustic complexity of modern seas. Just the gentle sound of water moving, sediment shifting, the muffled underwater silence that divers describe as deeply peaceful. You can imagine this silence now. Not the absence of sound, but a different kind of sound. Muffled, distant, peaceful. The sound of water all around you, supporting you, holding you, embracing you in its quiet depths. Let's move forward in time now, to 375 million years ago, to the Devonian period, often called the Age of Fishes. The oceans were full of life, full of diversity, full of creatures experimenting with different ways to exist. And among them was one of the most remarkable creatures ever to live in the sea, Dunkleosteus. Now, Dunkleosteus is often portrayed as a terrifying predator, and in some ways it was. But tonight, let's think about it differently. Let's think about the life it lived, the world it moved through, the long, slow millions of years it existed in the ancient seas. Dunkleosteus was an armored fish, covered in thick, bony plates that protected its head and the front part of its body. These plates were several inches thick in places, heavier and stronger than the armor worn by medieval knights. Imagine carrying that weight. Imagine how secure it must have felt, how protected, how invulnerable. But also imagine how slow it must have made the creature, how deliberate its movements must have been. Dunkleosteus couldn't dart or race or flee. It moved slowly, ponderously, like a tank through water. every movement was measured, deliberate, economical. It didn't waste energy on unnecessary motion. It simply moved when it needed to move, and when it didn't need to move, it rested. This is the ultimate in efficient living, moving only when necessary, resting completely when possible. No wasted effort, no unnecessary expenditure of energy, just slow, steady, deliberate existence. The water where Dunkleosteus lived was probably warm and somewhat murky, full of nutrients that fed the rich ecosystem of the Devonian seas. Visibility might have been limited to a few dozen feet at most, but Dunkleosteus didn't need to see far. It wasn't chasing prey across long distances. It was an ambush predator, waiting patiently for food to come close enough, then striking with sudden speed. But that striking was just a brief moment in a life otherwise characterized by stillness, by waiting, by patient, motionless rest. Imagine spending most of your time absolutely still, conserved, at peace, only occasionally rousing yourself to action, and then immediately returning to stillness, to rest, to that deep, peaceful state of minimal energy expenditure. The Dunkleosteus's armor was strongest around its head, protecting its brain, its sensory organs, its most vital systems. But this armor wasn't just protection. It was also weight, ballast, helping the creature maintain its position in the water without having to constantly swim. It could simply hang in the water column, suspended, still, waiting. Like a whale sleeping vertically, the Dunkleosteus could probably rest in the water without sinking or floating, perfectly balanced, perfectly still, perfectly at peace. You're becoming like this now, heavy with relaxation, weighted down with peace. So relaxed that you're sinking into your bed, but also so perfectly balanced that you're suspended in that perfect state between waking and sleeping, neither fully conscious nor fully unconscious, just floating in the peaceful in-between. The Devonian seas were full of other armored fish, competitors and potential prey for Dunkleosteus. But there was also cooperation, coexistence, the simple sharing of space that happens when territories are large and food is abundant. Dunkleosteus probably spent long periods simply existing in its territory, not hunting, not fighting, just being present, just occupying its space, just living its slow, armored life. There's something deeply peaceful about the idea of territorial animals at rest. The territory is established, the boundaries are known. There's no need to defend or attack or prove anything. Just the quiet occupation of space, the simple being there that doesn't require action or effort or constant vigilance. Your bed is your territory right now. This space is yours. You don't need to defend it or prove your right to it. You can simply occupy it, simply be here, simply rest in the absolute certainty that this space is yours, that you're safe here, that you can let your guard down completely. Dunkleosteus lived for about 60 million years before going extinct in the late Devonian. 60 million years of existence, of continuity, of the same basic pattern repeating generation after generation. Hatching from eggs, growing slowly through childhood, reaching full size and maturity, reproducing, living out a lifespan, and then dying, sinking to the ocean floor to become sediment, to eventually become the fossils that tell us their story. This cycle repeated millions of times, millions of individual Dunkleosteus, each one living its own life, facing its own challenges, but all of them following the same basic pattern, the same rhythm, the same ancient way of being. You're part of a similar cycle. Millions of humans before you have lain down to sleep. Millions have breathed deeply, relaxed completely, drifted into unconsciousness. You're not doing anything new or unique. You're following an ancient pattern, joining an endless procession of sleeping beings, adding your own small verse to the eternal song of rest and renewal. The Dunkleosteus' world ended in an extinction event. The Devonian period closed with massive environmental changes, ocean chemistry shifts, oxygen depletion. Most of the armored fish went extinct, but their time on Earth wasn't a failure. They lived successfully for millions of years. They dominated their ecosystems. They were perfectly adapted to their world. That their world eventually changed doesn't diminish the peace and success of their long existence. Everything ends eventually. Every individual life, every species, every ecosystem, every planet. But that doesn't make the peace and rest and simple existence of each moment any less valuable, any less real, any less worthy of being fully experienced. Right now, in this moment, you're alive. You're breathing. You're at rest. And this moment is perfect and complete in itself, regardless of what came before or what will come after. Let's move forward again to 150 million years ago, to the Jurassic period. On land, dinosaurs walked and thundered and roared. But in the oceans, different creatures ruled. Marine reptiles descended from land animals that had returned to the sea, becoming perfectly adapted to aquatic life. Among them was Plesiosaurus. The Plesiosaurus had a body unlike anything alive today. A broad, flat body like a turtle's, but with 4 large flippers instead of legs, and a long snake-like neck that could extend over 6 feet from its body. Its head was small and delicate, with sharp teeth for catching fish, but otherwise not particularly fearsome. The Plesiosaurus moved through the water by rowing with its 4 flippers in a motion similar to underwater flying. Imagine a sea turtle's swimming motion, but with 4 flippers working in coordination, pulling the creature through the water in slow, powerful strokes. This wasn't fast swimming. The Plesiosaurus wasn't built for speed. It was built for endurance, for efficiency, for the ability to swim steadily for hours or even days without tiring. There's something deeply meditative about this kind of movement, not sprinting or racing, but steady, rhythmic pulling through water. The same motion repeated over and over, each stroke the same as the last, creating a rhythm, a pattern, a meditation in motion. Your breathing is like this, each breath the same as the last. In and out, in and out. A steady rhythm that continues without thought, without effort, without any need for your conscious attention. The Plesiosaurus used its long neck to reach into schools of fish, darting its small head quickly to snap up prey, while its body remained relatively still. This meant it could hunt without the energetic cost of chasing. It could position its body once and then simply reach with its neck, harvesting fish from different angles without having to reorient its entire mass. This is efficiency. This is the art of getting what you need with minimal effort, minimal movement, minimal energy expenditure. In sleep, your body will do something similar. It will get what it needs, the rest and restoration and processing it requires, with minimal effort from you. You don't need to try to sleep. You just need to allow it, to not interfere with the natural process, to let your body do what it knows how to do. The Plesiosaurus probably slept floating at the surface, like modern sea turtles and some whales. It would need to breathe air, so it couldn't sink to the ocean floor for the night. Instead, it would likely float, its body naturally buoyant, its flippers spread wide for stability, bobbing gently with the waves. Imagine this, floating on the surface of a calm Jurassic Sea. The water is warm, supporting you completely. The sky above is full of stars, the same stars that have looked down on Earth for billions of years. The gentle rise and fall of small waves rocks you like a cradle. You're breathing slowly, easily, half asleep, but still dimly aware of the world around you. This is the Plesiosaurus's sleep. Not deep unconsciousness, but a kind of floating rest, a state between waking and sleeping, where awareness dims, but doesn't entirely disappear. You know this state. You've experienced it many times. That peaceful drowsiness where you're aware you're falling asleep, but you're not fighting it, not resisting it, just allowing yourself to drift, to float, to gradually let consciousness fade into dreams. The Plesiosaurus lived in seas that covered much of Europe and North America during the Jurassic period. These were warm, shallow seas, rich with life, full of fish and squid and ammonites. The water was clear and blue, the temperature perfect, like a tropical lagoon. Imagine swimming in these waters. The warmth surrounding you, the gentle current moving past your skin, the filtered sunlight creating patterns of rippling light on the sandy bottom far below. No cold, no discomfort, just perfect temperature, perfect support, perfect peace. You can feel this warmth now. Your bed has warmed to your body temperature. The blankets are holding heat close to your skin. You're cocooned in warmth, in comfort, in the perfect temperature that allows your muscles to relax completely, your body to let go of all tension. The Plesiosaurus had few predators. It was too large for most hunters, and its strong flippers could deliver powerful blows to anything that threatened it. This meant it could move through its world with confidence, without constant fear, without the exhausting vigilance that prey animals must maintain. When you're safe, truly safe, your body knows it. Your nervous system can stand down, your muscles can relax, your mind can stop scanning for threats and simply rest. You're safe now, in this bed, in this room, in this moment. There's nothing to fear, nothing to defend against, nothing that requires your vigilance or your protection. You can let your guard down completely. The Plesiosaurus existed for over 100 million years. Think about that. 100 million years of Plesiosaurus swimming in ancient seas, breathing air at the surface, hunting fish with their long necks, floating peacefully under star-filled skies. Entire continents shifted position during that time. Mountains rose and eroded away. Climate zones shifted from poles to equator and back again. But through all of this change, the Plesiosaurus remained, adapted perfectly to the marine environment, living its slow, steady, peaceful existence. There's a deep stability in this, a profound continuity. Despite all the changes happening around it, the Plesiosaurus's way of life remained constant. It knew what it was. It knew what it needed. And it simply continued being that, doing that, existing in that pattern for an incomprehensible length of time. You have this same stability within you. Despite all the changes in your life, despite everything that shifts and transforms and disappears, the basic pattern of your existence remains constant. You still breathe, you still sleep, you still need rest and food and safety and connection. These fundamental needs haven't changed, won't change, connect you to every human who has ever lived and to the deep mammalian pattern that goes back millions of years. Let's move forward one more time to 80 million years ago, to the late Cretaceous period. Dinosaurs were still dominant on land, but in the oceans, a new kind of reptile had appeared. The mosasaur. Mosasaurs were related to modern monitor lizards, but they had become fully aquatic, with flippers instead of legs and a powerful tail for propulsion. The largest species, Mosasaurus hoffmanni, could reach 50 feet in length, about the size of a modern humpback whale. But despite this impressive size, let's think about the mosasaur's peaceful moments, the times when it wasn't hunting, wasn't active, wasn't being the apex predator it's famous for being. The mosasaur had to surface regularly to breathe, like all marine reptiles. This meant it was constantly moving between the surface and the depths, rising to breathe, and then sinking back down to hunt or rest in deeper water. This vertical movement would create a rhythm to its life. Up to breathe, down to rest or hunt. Up to breathe, down again. A cycle repeated hundreds of times each day, creating a pattern, a structure, a regular rhythm that organized its existence. You have similar rhythms, breathing in and out, waking and sleeping, activity and rest. These rhythms organize your life, create structure, provide the framework within which everything else happens. And right now, you're in the rest part of the cycle, the breathing out part, the sinking down part. The mosasaur's body was streamlined, built for efficient movement through water. It didn't have the heavy armor of Dunkleosteus or the long neck of Plesiosaurus. It was sleek, smooth, designed for gliding through water with minimal resistance. When it needed to rest, it probably sank to the ocean floor, settling onto the soft sediment like a seal on a beach. Its flippers would spread out to the sides, its powerful tail would relax and straighten, and it would simply lie there on the bottom, conserving energy, waiting until it needed to rise again to breathe. This is the kind of complete rest that comes when you feel safe enough, when you're in your territory, when you know nothing can threaten you. Just lying down, letting all your muscles relax, letting your body be completely supported by what's beneath you. You're doing this now, lying down, letting your bed support you completely, not holding any part of yourself up, not maintaining any tension or control, just lying here, like the mosasaur on the ocean floor, at peace, at rest, completely supported. The Cretaceous seas where mosasaurs lived were the warmest in Earth's history. There were no polar ice caps. The ocean currents carried warm water from the equator to the poles and back again. The temperature gradient from equator to poles was much gentler than today. This meant that almost everywhere in the ocean was warm, comfortable, perfect for cold-blooded reptiles. Imagine living in an ocean where the water is always the perfect temperature. Never too cold, never too hot. Just exactly right. Everywhere you go, all the time. This is what your bed should feel like. Perfect temperature. Not too warm under the covers. Not too cold where you're exposed. Just exactly right. And if it's not quite perfect yet, you can adjust. You can shift the blankets, move your position, find that perfect configuration where temperature is ideal and comfort is complete. The mosasaur's eyes were large, adapted for seeing in the dim light of deep water. They could detect movement and shape even in very low light conditions. But at night, even these sensitive eyes wouldn't be much use. In the darkness of the Cretaceous ocean, the mosasaur would have to rely on other senses: smell, vibration detection, perhaps even electroreception, the ability to sense the electrical fields generated by other creatures' muscles and nerves. in darkness, we all become more dependent on non-visual senses. Touch, sound, proprioception, the sense of where our body is in space. And these senses are often more calming, more grounding, more immediately connecting than vision. Feel your body now. Feel the weight of it pressing into the bed. Feel the texture of sheets against your skin. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest with each breath. You don't need to see to know you're here, to know you're real, to know you're safe. You can feel it directly, immediately, without any need for interpretation or analysis. The mosasaur gave birth to live young, unlike most reptiles which lay eggs. The babies were born in the water, fully formed and ready to swim immediately. From their very first moments, they knew the ocean, knew how to move through water, knew how to hold their breath and surface to breathe. This knowledge was instinctive, programmed into their bodies, requiring no teaching or learning. You have similar instinctive knowledge. Your body knows how to sleep. It's done it thousands of times before. It knows how to slow your breathing, how to relax your muscles, how to shift your consciousness from waking awareness to sleep. You don't need to figure it out or remember how. You just need to allow it to happen, to not interfere with the process your body already knows perfectly. Mosasaurs dominated the Cretaceous oceans for about 25 million years. And then, 66 million years ago, an asteroid struck Earth. The impact created tsunamis hundreds of feet tall. It threw so much debris into the atmosphere that the sky went dark for months. The temperature plummeted, photosynthesis stopped. The food chain collapsed. The mosasaurs, along with the dinosaurs and most other large animals, went extinct. But for 25 million years before that, they swam peacefully through warm seas. They hunted and ate and mated and raised their young. They rested on the ocean floor and surfaced to breathe and basked in the sun, and lived their lives in the same basic pattern, generation after generation, for 25 million years. That's what success looks like. Not living forever, but living fully, living well, living in harmony with your environment and your nature for as long as circumstances allow. Your life will end someday too. Someday, far in the future, hopefully, but someday nonetheless. But that doesn't diminish the value of this moment, this breath, this peaceful rest you're experiencing right now. This moment is complete in itself. This peace is real and valuable regardless of what comes after. The mosasaur's world ended, but while it lasted, it was full of warm water and abundant food, and the simple peace of existing in a body perfectly adapted to its environment. You're perfectly adapted to this moment too. Your body knows how to be here, how to rest here, how to find peace here. Trust that adaptation. Trust that knowledge. Trust your body's ancient wisdom. Let's visit one more creature, perhaps the strangest and most wonderful of all the ancient sea monsters, the Helicoprion. This creature lived 290 million years ago, long before dinosaurs, in the Permian period. For over a century after its fossils were first discovered, scientists weren't sure what kind of creature it was or how its strange spiral tooth arrangement actually worked. The Helicoprion had a structure unlike anything alive today, a spiral whorl of teeth, like a circular saw blade, that grew continuously throughout its life. As new teeth formed at the center of the spiral, old teeth remained attached, creating a perfect logarithmic spiral of dozens of sharp teeth. For years, scientists thought this whorl might be on the Helicoprion's snout, or maybe its tail, or perhaps external like a horn. but eventually fossil evidence showed it was inside the lower jaw, a bizarre internal spiral of teeth that functioned like a sophisticated cutting mechanism. But let's not focus on the cutting. Let's think about the spiral itself, because spirals are deeply calming structures. The spiral appears throughout nature, in nautilus shells and snail shells, in the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower, in the arms of galaxies, in the shape of hurricanes, in the curl of a fern frond unfurling. The spiral represents growth that honors its center, that builds outward while maintaining connection to its origin. Each new tooth in the Helicoprion spiral was connected to all the teeth that came before it. The newest tooth and the oldest tooth were part of the same continuous structure. This is how your life is structured too. Each new day, each new experience, each new moment is connected to everything that came before. You carry your past with you, not as a burden, but as the foundation that makes your present possible. Your oldest memories and your newest thoughts are part of the same continuous spiral of your consciousness. The Helicoprion was probably a slow swimmer, despite its fearsome teeth. It was built more like a shark than a fast predator, with a body designed for cruising efficiently through open water rather than quick bursts of speed. It would swim steadily through Permian seas, mouth slightly open, using its spiral of teeth to snag and cut soft-bodied prey like squid and small fish. This is a peaceful image when you think about it. Not a frenzied hunter, but a steady traveler, moving calmly through its world, taking what it needed as it encountered it, never hurrying, never desperate, just steadily, peacefully existing. The Permian oceans where Helicoprion lived were on the verge of the greatest extinction event in Earth's history. The end Permian extinction, 252 million years ago, killed over 90% of all marine species. It was the closest life on Earth has ever come to complete annihilation. Helicoprion didn't survive this catastrophe, but before that event, for tens of millions of years, it swam peacefully through ancient seas, its spiral of teeth growing steadily, its body gliding through water, its life following the same pattern as its ancestors and as its descendants, until there were no more descendants, until the line ended in the great dying. But that ending doesn't erase the peace of all those millions of years, doesn't invalidate all those individual lives lived, all those spirals of teeth that grew in darkness and disappeared into sediment and eventually became fossils that tell us the story. Every moment of peace those creatures experienced was real. Every moment of rest, of satiation after feeding, of simply gliding through warm water under ancient skies, those moments were complete and perfect in themselves. Your peaceful moments are real too. This moment of rest you're experiencing right now is not diminished by the fact that it will end, that you'll wake up tomorrow, that life will continue with all its complexity and challenge. Right now, in this moment, you're at peace. And that peace is real. That peace is enough. That peace is everything. The Helicoprion spiral grew throughout its entire life. It never stopped adding new teeth. The spiral got larger and larger, more and more complex, more and more elaborate. This is continuous growth, continuous building, continuous adding of new layers, while maintaining the structure of what came before. You're still growing too, even in sleep. Your cells are dividing. Your body is repairing tissue. Your brain is processing experiences and forming memories. You're adding new layers to the spiral of yourself, building outward while maintaining your center, growing while staying fundamentally you. The spiral is a symbol of this kind of growth. Growth that doesn't abandon its origins but expands from them. Growth that honors where it came from while reaching towards something new. You can trust this process. You can let it happen while you sleep. You don't need to direct it or control it. Your body knows how to grow, how to heal, how to build new layers on the foundation of who you've been. Just rest. Just allow. Just trust the spiral. We've journeyed now through hundreds of millions of years of Earth's history. We've met creatures that no longer exist except as fossils and memories and the stories we tell about them. The Eurypterid, patient and armored, resting in shallow bays. Dunkleosteus, heavy and protected, hanging motionless in the water. Plesiosaurus, with its long neck and steady rowing flippers, floating peacefully at the surface. Mosasaurus, sleek and streamlined, resting on the ocean floor between trips to the surface. Helicoprion, with its mysterious spiral of teeth, gliding steadily through ancient seas. All of these creatures are gone now. The seas they swam in have dried up or changed completely. The continents have shifted. The climate has transformed. Everything that made their world, has disappeared. But while they existed, they were perfectly real. Their lives were as vivid and immediate and present to them as your life is to you right now. They felt hunger and satiation. They felt the water moving past their bodies. They rested when tired. They moved when necessary. They existed in each moment, not knowing or caring about the vast stretches of time that came before them or would come after them. They were simply alive, simply present, simply being what they were. You're doing the same thing right now. You're alive. You're present. You're being what you are. And in this moment, what you are is a person at rest, a person drifting towards sleep, a person experiencing the ancient universal need for rest and the ancient universal peace that comes when that need is met. The ancient seas were quiet. Sound travels differently in water, muffled and transformed. The creatures we've met tonight moved through a world of muted sounds, of gentle underwater silence, broken only by the movement of water, the settling of sediment, the distant muffled sounds of other creatures going about their lives. You can imagine this silence now. Not empty silence, but full silence. The silence of the ocean depths, the silence of ancient seas, the silence that has existed since before sound had anything to hear it, since before ears evolved to detect it. This is the silence of deep time, of geology, of the slow processes that shape continents and fill oceans and build mountains grain by grain. This is the silence your body knows, because your body is made of materials as old as those ancient seas. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the carbon in your cells, all of this was forged in stars billions of years ago, cycled through ancient seas and ancient creatures, and now temporarily assembled in the form that is you. You're made of the ancient ocean. You're made of stardust and seawater and time itself. And when you rest, you're participating in the same pattern of rest that has existed since life first learned to sleep. The same surrender, the same trust, the same letting go. Every creature we've met tonight had to rest, had to stop moving, had to allow their awareness to dim and their bodies to recover and their nervous systems to process the experiences of being alive. Rest is not optional. It's not a luxury or an indulgence. It's as fundamental to life as eating or breathing. every living thing that has ever existed has needed rest in some form. The ancient sea monsters rested. The dinosaurs rested. The earliest fish and the first land animals, and the proto-mammals, and every ancestor you've ever had, back through millions of years, all of them rested. And now it's your turn. Your time to join this ancient lineage of resting beings. Your time to let go and drift and trust that sleep will hold you safely until morning. The ocean holds everything gently. It held the Eurypterid and Dunkleosteus and Plesiosaurus and Mosasaurus and Helicoprion. It held them in life and receives them in death and preserves some of them as fossils so we can know they existed, so we can tell their stories, so we can remember that we're part of a continuity that stretches back hundreds of millions of years. The same ocean, in a sense, holds you now. Not literal seawater, but the ocean of existence. The vast web of being that connects every living thing across time and space. You're floating in this ocean, supported by it, held by it, part of it. The ancient sea monsters are your distant cousins. You share ancestors with them, way back in the depths of time. You're part of the same family tree of life that includes every creature that has ever swum or crawled or walked or flown. And all of them rested. All of them slept in whatever way their bodies needed. All of them surrendered to the universal rhythm of activity and rest, waking and sleeping, consciousness and unconsciousness. You're following that rhythm now, sinking deeper into rest with each breath. Each exhale takes you a little deeper. Each relaxation of your muscles lets you sink a little further. You're descending like the mosasaur descending from the surface after breathing. Down into deeper water, down into darker water, down into quieter water. The light is fading. The sounds are becoming more muted and distant. The pressure is increasing gently, evenly, like a soft embrace all around you. You're sinking, but you're safe. You're descending, but you're held. You're going deeper, but there's nothing to fear in the depths. Only peace. Only rest. Only the quiet. Darkness where sleep lives. The ancient sea monsters are with you in spirit, not watching over you like guardians, but simply there, part of the vast community of beings who have known rest, who have surrendered to sleep, who have trusted the darkness and found it gentle. You're not alone in this ocean. You're surrounded by millions of years of life, all of it connected, all of it part of the same great pattern of existence and rest and renewal. Breathe slowly now, like the Plesiosaurus breathing at the surface. Slow, deep breaths, all the time in the world. Nothing to rush toward. Just breathing because your body needs air, and then releasing it because your body is finished with it. In and out, in and out. The rhythm of the ocean, the rhythm of the tides, the rhythm of every living thing since breathing began. Your breath connects you to the ancient sea monsters. They breathed. You breathe. The same basic pattern, the same filling of lungs, the same release of used air. Across hundreds of millions of years, the same breath. And now, let that breath slow even more. Let the pauses between breaths grow longer. You don't need to breathe as frequently when you're at rest. Your body needs less oxygen when you're still, when you're peaceful, when you're drifting towards sleep. So let the gaps between breaths stretch out. Wait a little longer before breathing in again. Rest in the stillness between breaths. Rest in the silence between heartbeats. Rest in the peaceful gaps where nothing is happening and nothing needs to happen. The ocean is dark now. The ancient seas have faded into the darkness of deep time. But the peace remains. The peace that those creatures knew. The peace of simply existing, simply being, simply resting when rest is needed. That peace is yours now. Completely, absolutely, without condition or limit. You're as entitled to this peace as the Eurypterid was, as Dunkleosteus was, as any creature that has ever needed rest. This is your birthright as a living being, this peace, this rest, this gentle drift into unconsciousness. Take it, claim it, allow it. You don't need permission. You don't need to earn it. You simply need to stop resisting it and let it happen. The ancient sea monsters aren't waiting for you to do anything. They're not judging or evaluating or measuring your worthiness. They simply are, in the way that all of the past simply is. Present in memory, present in fossils, present in the atoms that once made up their bodies and now make up the world around you. You're part of that continuity, part of that flow of existence from past to present to future. And right now, your role in that flow is simple. Rest, sleep, let go. Everything you needed to do today, you did. Everything that needs to happen tomorrow will happen when tomorrow comes. Right now, there's only this. Only the present moment. Only the gentle darkness and the soft bed and the slow breathing and the peaceful drift into sleep. The ancient sea monsters whisper their blessing across the ages, not in words, but in the simple fact of their existence, their rest, their millions of years of peaceful living and gentle dying. They tell you it's okay. It's okay to stop. It's okay to rest. It's okay to sleep. They did it. Every creature that has ever lived has done it. And now you can do it too. Let the Eurypterid's patience be yours. Let Dunkleosteus's stillness be yours. Let the Plesiosaurus's floating peace be yours. Let the Mosasaurus trust in the rhythm of rising and sinking be yours. Let Helicoprion's spiral growth be yours. Even in sleep, even in darkness, even in complete surrender of consciousness, you're held. You're safe. You're exactly where you need to be. The ancient ocean holds you. The deep time holds you. The peace that has existed since before fear, since before worry, since before thought itself, that peace holds you now. Breathe out one more time, long and slow and complete, and as you breathe out, feel everything releasing, all the tension, all the thoughts, all the awareness of the day, all the holding on. Just let it all go, out with the breath, dissolving into the darkness, returning to the ocean. You are the ocean. You are the ancient sea. You are the peace that has always existed and will always exist. You are rest itself, sleep itself, the eternal pattern of surrender and renewal. Close your eyes if they're not already closed. Let the darkness be complete. Let the silence be total. Let the peace be absolute. There is nothing left to do, nowhere left to go, no one left to be. Just this, just now, just sleep. The ancient sea monsters are sleeping too, in the way that all extinct things sleep, in the deep sleep of time, in the peaceful rest of completion, in the silence of having lived and rested and lived again across millions of years. Join them in that silence. Join them in that peace. Join them in that ancient, eternal rest. Good night. Sleep well. The ocean holds you. Time holds you. Peace holds you. And in the morning, you'll rise like new life from ancient seas. But for now, just sleep, just rest, just be perfectly, completely, peacefully at rest.